The launch date was kind of born of my own experiences. Once I left university, I did a creative writing degree, but at the time, it didn't really feel like just jumping straight out and being an author was like a viable career option for me. So I kind of channeled the creative writing into working in social media and blogs and running, just helping brands develop their story and use that creative writing in from a marketing perspective. So in that process, I ended up working at so many different startups, usually tech or app based brands, and usually female founded companies as well. And so I kind of, in the middle of that, I ended up working at a dating app, and they recruited me to be one of their first five hires for their UK and European expansion. So I worked a lot with student ambassadors, kind of spreading the good word of Bumble throughout the UK and Ireland, and ended up managing about like 40 different sort of pockets of cities around the UK. So when I was doing that, I kind of thought, wouldn't it be interesting if you had a person working at a dating app who's essentially selling love and dating as a product, who didn't believe in it, who didn't believe the story that they were weaving to promote this idea that you could find love through dating apps, and who were had their own heart broken very recently. And so that idea had always sat with me. I thought that was a really interesting juxtaposition. And then on top of that, so the dating app I worked at was again very female focused, but also very much focused on sort of finding your soulmate and true love. And whereas the main competitor, which I'm sure you and probably many of the people watching this will know what that is, was the inspiration for Ignite, who is the sort of competitor app that the male love interest in the launch date is based on. So having the idea of someone working at a true love company who doesn't really believe in the true love anymore, who also then has to compete with someone who has very differing ideas on dating and self-worth and love. I just think the combination of those two were too hard to resist to not put on the paper. Grace Hastings, who is the main character of the launch date, she really cuts her teeth in that dating app world. It's kind of her first job, but she started out as an intern there and has kind of worked her way up as high as she can get under quite a demanding boss. And so she is always looking for ways to innovate whilst also kind of being punched down on a bit by her superiors. And so we kind of meet her in this state. And also, she has recently and is still kind of healing from a major heartbreak, and kind of the way she thought her love life and her life in general were going to be going had both halted completely. So we meet her in this position, and she is given an opportunity at Fate by the sort of umbrella company. Again, this is very much inspired by the structure of the company that I worked in. There was sort of a big umbrella company that owned quite a few dating apps that had competing ethoses. And so when Grace gets the opportunity to kind of come out under that boss that is sort of taking her ideas for granted or for her own credit, and also sidestepping having to constantly portray herself as this person who really genuinely believes that everybody has that one person, and believes, love is the ultimate thing that we, especially as women, should be striving towards. That's the ultimate goal of our lives. So she's given the opportunity to sort of sidestep that and come into her own. And so, but obviously the only thing in her way is someone who was sort of involved in that huge sort of breakdown she had 6 months ago, who was a former friend of hers and is now a rival that she's constantly compared to at the other dating app. So I feel like the connection between Grace and Fate, I do see them as sort of almost like opposing entities, but it's kind of like the monster that she helped create because she was there, right? Oh, sorry, that is my mum talking about books. So texting me. So yeah, Grace and Fate, I feel like she feels responsible for a lot of the success that it has had, but it's like, yeah, a monster of her own making that's now sort of like eating her up from the inside. I was very, very conscious that I didn't want this to be a book where, oh, they meet on a dating app and all the situations are very technologically based. And that's kind of how I came up with the concept of the competition, that they were creating this new app. And I think you can see in the book, there's this sort of third app called Ditto, which was the app that the two, Grace and Eric, are both competing to run this app, essentially run the marketing and the rollout for the launch of this app. And so Ditto itself is kind of a representation of my feelings towards dating apps, and that they were very much not conversation based. It's about going out and meeting people and having that chemistry in real life. So yeah, that's something that I really was very conscious on. So I appreciate you sort of like asking me that question. Nobody's ever asked me that before, but it's something that I have a lot of opinions on.